All right, let's spend the next few minutes unpacking the absolutely massive world of e-commerce, that digital storefront that literally never ever closes. We're going to dig into how it works, why it pretty much dominates our daily lives, and what it all means for the future of doing business.
Seriously, just think about it for a second. I'm willing to bet that number is not zero, right? E-commerce is so deeply woven into our lives, a lot of the time we don't even think about it. And that's exactly what we're going to get into today.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll nail down what e-commerce actually is. Then, we'll zoom out to see where it fits in the bigger picture. We'll look at all the different players and models, see what makes digital so different, and then wrap it all up with a good look at the pros and cons. Sound good? Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. What exactly are we talking about when we say e-commerce?
Now, it's super easy to just think of online shopping, right? But the actual definition is way broader. The key thing to remember is that e-commerce is any transaction where value, money, goods, services, gets exchanged digitally over the internet. And the thing is, it's happening all around you all the time. When you tap your card to buy a coffee, that's a point of sale system, which, is a form of e-commerce. Booking that flight online, bidding on something on eBay, it is all part of this massive digital ecosystem. All right, so now that we've got the basics, let's zoom out a bit. You see, e-commerce doesn't just exist in a bubble, it's part of a much, much larger digital landscape.
Okay, this is a really important distinction. You hear people use e-commerce and e-business like they're the same thing, but they are not. E-commerce is all about the transaction, the buying and selling part. But e-business, that's the whole shebang. It's the entire digital operation. HR, supply chains, internal communications, you name it.
I love this analogy because it just makes it so clear. Think about it. E-commerce is the storefront, right? It's where you go to browse and buy. But e-business is the entire building. It's everything happening in the back, from the warehouse to the accounting department, that makes that storefront possible.
So how did we even get here? Well, it wasn't overnight. It was really a perfect storm of four huge forces coming together. First, everything went from analog to digital. Then, connectivity just exploded with the internet. We as customers started demanding things made just for us, and all of that created this huge opening for new digital middlemen to pop up and connect buyers and sellers in totally new ways.
Okay, with that background in mind, let's start looking at the actual architecture of this world. Who is selling to whom, and how are all these different businesses set up? Basically, it all comes down to who's selling and who's buying. You've got your B2C, or business to consumer, that's your Amazon. Then there's C2C, consumer to consumer, which is like when you sell your old stuff on eBay. And of course, there's B2B, which is business to business, and even m-commerce, which is just any of the stuff happening on your phone. And what about how these businesses actually operate? Well, they tend to fall into one of three buckets. You have your classic brick and mortar, a physical store with no online shop. Then there's Pure Click, a company like eBay that only exists online. And finally, you've got the hybrid, the brick and click, like a Walmart or Target, which has both physical stores and a massive online presence. So we've got the what and how, but what really truly makes e-commerce so different from just regular business? Let's get into the unique blueprint that sets it apart. First up, there are four features that were absolute game changers. It's ubiquitous, meaning your store is always open and it's right there in your customer's pocket. It has global reach, which basically erases national borders overnight. It's built on universal standards, so anyone with an internet connection can play. And it offers richness. You can use video, audio, you name it, to create an experience that a paper catalog could only dream of.
And believe it or not, we're not done yet. E-commerce is inherently interactive. It turns the old one-way street of advertising into a genuine two-way conversation. It provides incredible information density, putting things like price comparisons and customer reviews right at our fingertips. And finally, it allows for this deep personalization, tailoring the whole experience to fit you and your tastes.
And when you put them side by side like this, the difference is just night and day. A virtual store versus a physical one, 24/7 access versus 9 to 5, reaching the entire globe versus just your local neighborhood. The fundamental rules of how we do business have been completely rewritten. So, with all that, e-commerce sounds pretty incredible, right? And it is. But, like anything, it's not a perfect system. Let's do a quick, honest review of the highs and the lows. On the plus side, the advantages are just massive. For a business, it means way less overhead and instant access to a global market. And for us, the consumers, it means we can shop anytime we want, prices are more competitive, and we can find exactly what we're looking for whenever we want it.
But then, of course, you've got the flip side. You still have to wait for your stuff to actually show up. You can't touch it or try it on. There are very real concerns about privacy and security. And maybe the biggest challenge of all? Building trust when you can't even look the seller in the eye.
And that really brings us to our final thought here. For all of the amazing technology and all the convenience, this entire digital economy really runs on one very human thing: trust. And as we move even more of our lives online, figuring out how we build and maintain that trust might just be the most important challenge of all. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.